there, everybody, and welcome to the Robidoux Row live stream here today. Today we're going to be covering how we research into items in our collection. We're going to show you some of the means and some of the other things that we do of how to actually break down an item and figure out where it comes from.
We'll also show you a few tips and tricks on how to care for your collection at home.
Exactly. So before we do get into that, we want to give you guys a couple little notes on the museum. We are open for our summer season, so that is 10 to 4 every Wednesday through Saturday. So come by and see all the new exhibits we have and check out some of the new things that we're bringing out in the next couple weeks. Along with that, we do still have our event space in the basement that's been booking up for graduation parties, but we have tons of openings throughout the whole season. So come by, see what you can do with our event space, and enjoy your summer. We'll see you guys after the expedition period.
Hello and welcome. As we spoke about last week, this week we are going to discuss how we research an item and a little bit about archiving. I wanted to pick a box from our archive and show you a few pieces that we have. This is from the St. Charles Hotel, actually a local fished this piece out of the Missouri River. It is actually has a tag on it, which some repositories and archives will have. You'll have an Ascension number and perhaps a donor or more descriptive information. I did want to talk about the piece itself. This one is in relatively good condition. As you can see, the back has a little bit of deterioration, but you can use temperature control as a way to prevent degradation on an object, as well as the way that you store it. You also want to make sure that humidity, if you're doing any sort of collection, you have a personal collection at home, storage is key to keeping the item in good condition. With this particular piece, it is a 3D object, it is an artifact, and so we would process it by using identifying markers. What is it made out of? Also, the St. Charles Hotel. What time frames were they in operation? When was the building built? So part of investigation, and I kind of see this as reverse investigation, like you are a private detective, and instead of using real time, you're actually going back in time. So it's kind of a fun game for me. This particular collection that you saw me take out of a bag is part of the Eckel collection. As you can see, we have various items of metals and various types of materials that are involved in these metals. We're in the process of identifying them right now. The red one is actually made out of some type of colloidal, perhaps. It's more lightweight. It's not like the others at all. So we do have to take into consideration what the object is made out of in being able to identify perhaps where it came from. Certain plastics weren't invented until certain time frames. So that is important to note. That particular red one there is a later metal that was given to Eckel in his endeavors. As you can see, there's also a lot of very intricate details on these particular metals. And so we take down information in description. Obviously, these have been kept well. They're in very good condition. The other one there on the left has some fabric components. So you could possibly reach out to an expert that knows more about these particular metals and what they symbolize. So you could look at some of this stuff and think, okay, hieroglyphics, right? So sometimes it's important to reach out to those that are in organizations that know more about an object. That's a little bit about his medals. I would suggest storing them in a plastic bag if you can. You can get acid-free, of course. Also, you could use tissues, and I recommend this type of acid-free box. Please wear gloves. You have oils in your hands.
The second part of our research is going onto the internet itself to confirm that the research hasn't been done by anyone previously. As you can see here, we're doing a quick search on Edmund Eckel himself, just to get an idea of who has done what research previously, what is known about his affiliation to organizations. A lot of what we found was that he was an architect, some of the different buildings that he worked on here in the area. We did find this great article you're seeing here from his Missouri Encyclopedia that told us a lot about the buildings he worked on and how essential he was to the St. Joseph growth and the growth of the industry of architecture, but still didn't quite answer our questions for us about why we had these medals, what were these medals from, and where did they come from. And that's when we kind of roll into what we do next, which we're going to be moving into researching specifically from books. The books that will give us the answers to an idea of where these medals came from and how he was involved with getting them. The next step part of our progress is to move to our written sources that we have. As you can see here, the first source that we were able to find was a book that we have in our archive of cartoons of the area. It's actually known as the St. Joe Boys by Frank Finch. It has a number of drawings of local historical figures, and Edmund Eckel is one of the ones that are in there, showing that he was an architect and his importance as an architect here in the area. And so obviously that didn't give us a whole lot of information, so we were able to move on into our book that is The Men Who Built St. Joseph. It was a compendium of different men who helped build the St. Joseph area, and we found a lot of great information about Edmund Eckel in that. It talks about who his children were when he got here, what he was doing here in St. Joseph, and then kind of his story of how he ended up here by being involved in a train crash. Along with that, it does talk about his children and some of the other items like that. And then when we turn the page, we, had a little trouble here, guys. We actually found some information on some of his associations he was involved with. Both what he built here in town, some of the buildings he was involved with, and then specific associations that he was himself involved with. And we found that it said he was involved with all of the local Shriner groups. He was also highly involved with the Moyla Shriners, which gave us a very good lead on where to look for these items and where to find the information we needed on Edmund Eckel.
I hope that you've enjoyed this segment today. I also wanted to note that it is okay to ask for help. So I like to call it phone a friend. If there's an expert in the field that might have some more information available to you about an item, I know that Eckel was one of those cases with all the small little details and characteristics that we couldn't identify. So we reached out to Moyla, and they have assisted us in being able to really share some insight knowledge that we didn't have. So I did want to just add that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the not the last part of the process. Obviously, we didn't then process it through our system. But we do that with a lot of items where we'll call an expert in, whether that's Moyla in this case, or some of our friends over at the Genealogical Society here in St. Joseph.
The library has been a great resource as well.
Exactly. And so we really kind of dig into those things with them to have them assist us with getting the information we don't necessarily have at our fingertips. Mm-hmm. So we hope you guys enjoyed this this lesson here. Take some of these ideas for yourself on your own private collections. Do come meet us back here next week where we're going to be talking about some of the more intricate businesses that built St. Joseph, some of the actual companies, and some stories that involve those companies that made the difference in St. Joseph becoming the city that it became.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us here today, and you guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye.